Hello and welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review. How y'all doing? What's going on?
What's going on, everyone?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Just waiting to do a show after, I would say, a pretty good episode of Smackdown, leading us on the road to WrestleMania. A lot of commercials, though. A lot of commercials for car races and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I definitely noticed that too. I mean, they probably should do that more on Raw since it's 3 hours, but yeah, there's certainly a lot of commercials. But personally, I felt like this episode was filler. But it certainly was a great promo for what's coming because they definitely need a lot of filler right now. But it kept me excited, and it certainly was a good time. So it started off with a banger, just showing The Rock, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins just coming in together, solidifying just that whole situation. What do you think about that?
I mean, first of all, The Rock went from a brand new truck last time to like a 1974, pickup truck, and then put on a cowboy hat. I don't know if he was trying to mock Texas or what, or if that was a throwback to a car that Stone Cold Steve Austin drove once in 1997. I don't know what that was about, but forget about him. Seth Rollins, I'm looking at him, and this is before I saw that he was wearing a sleeveless sleeping bag. I just thought he had the high collar, the high shoulder cap, like a villain cow. And I'm looking at the sunglasses and the ridges on them and all that. It's all like crenellated. And so I'm thinking, what is this? I've seen this before. He's dressed like Stanley Tucci from the Hunger Games.
That's funny. That is hilarious. I think only
Cody
him
Rhodes,
and Jeff Goldblum could get away with that shit.
Yeah. I know it's not in the script, but if I'm Cody Rhodes, I'd be like, "This is serious, man. Dress like a man." I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to say cross-dressing because most women dress sensibly. This. I agree with The Rock. He's a walking clown emoji. But but there's definitely more of that to come as the show goes on. I agree with you though. A lot of filler, probably too much, but the show was advanced. Like a lot of storylines were in fact advanced.
I think so.
Some not as much as I would have liked. I mean, some of it is circling over the airport. Some of it is the same, but it's reminding you what's going on, and that counts too. But yes, I think that things were advanced or solidified, and I definitely think that some things were crystallized here. They were made crystal clear to me, despite some of the things that I want to happen. So a lot of things that I've been wish casting, a lot of fantasy booking that I've heard from lots of people, including our own Big Daddy Cool Steve Pena. That was really good, and part of it may still happen, but I think the big part became crystal clear to me, which was pretty clear to a lot of people, to be fair, weeks ago. So yeah, but I guess let's take it from the top. La Sicaria.
Yeah, well,
hello, amiga. Hello, everybody.
Hi. How are you?
She's closing the door. She's like, I don't want to hear your nonsense.
Hilarious.
She's like Gringo, you alone. Who's solo, Gringo?
Hilarious. So, clearly they started the show just showing off these guys, and I think that The Rock was just pandering to the audience.
I think so.
Because they definitely mentioned Dallas a lot.
Where's The Rock from? Where did he grow
up? Miami, but
okay.
I think he was born in Hawaii.
Yeah, but he spent a lot of time in Texas. Did he spend a lot of time in Texas?
they all spend a lot of time in the West Coast, like the whole Samoan family. All of them are like 49ers fans, and they're very West Coast people. You know,
But before he
so
got all
like,
the tribal tattoos, he always had the Brahma bull, and the Brahma bull. I mean, aside from
mhm.
being from every mythology remembered from man going back 10,000 years, the Brahma bull is a Texas symbol.
Mm.
So
Well, we gotta look up. We gotta
I,
look
and
Wikipedia
I'm
on this.
mentioning this for a reason. We'll get to it later. But audience, those of you who are listening either live, first of all, thank you. For those of you who are listening later on and watching later on, thank you. But hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on those notifications so that
Oh,
you
thank you.
can watch us live if you like to, or at least know that there's a new show so that it's in your queue. But when we get to the main event segment, which is, of course, more of this, you'll understand why I am wondering if he spent any time in Texas or had any sort of affinity in Texas, because I think that I don't think that this was an accident. I think he was looking sort of ridiculous on purpose to play to the bloodline, not and to fool the crowd. So anyway, but I keep saying we'll talk about it later, and I keep talking about it now.
Might as well, right? Well, that whole thing was interesting, and then after that, we got into the whole situation with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And that is, that it's very interesting. I wonder if how people feel about it. And what I'm talking about here is Logan Paul's announcement that he's basically going to start putting Prime banners in the middle of the ring. And the only other people I ever saw putting banners in the middle of the ring was Snickers doing Bray Wyatt's like lights out match. I think it was Snickers or was it Mountain Dew? I don't remember. But
it was Mountain Dew for that one.
So now, but the point is that they're making this a thing now.
Yeah.
This is basically the post Vince era, and they're making it a thing. And I wonder if people feel like it's going to be a distraction or if it's literally just good real estate for advertising.
Listen,
I think it's good real estate for advertising.
I mean, first of all, let me get my joke out of the way. AEW has Woo Energy sponsoring them, basically playing for Ric Flair's salary, whatever that is. However, so WWE has Scan Energy sponsor too. WWE copying AEW once again. All right, that's out of the way. I think it's inevitable. One thing you can say about Vince, he definitely was about increasing revenue streams, but he did think the ring should become sacred. However, you'd see times that where he sort of gave it, like the ring apron would have advertisements on it, the border would have advertisement, even the ring post would sometimes have ads on it. So it's just a matter of time. I mean, I know this is the first step on a slippery slope to becoming NASCAR drivers, where the cars and the uniforms have patches all over them. But Brock Lesnar did it with Jimmy Jones. Hopefully, it won't get to that point. It is good real estate for advertising. One of the purposes of the whole merger with Endeavor orchestrated was to increase sponsorship and cross sponsorship. Logan Paul is now full time. By the way, I want to talk about that in a second. As far as this is concerned, for the center ring, I don't mind it. It'll be a distraction for exactly 2 matches, and then you'll get used to it. Just like Monster Energy is not a distraction in MMA fights. It's a thing. Like everything in wrestling, everyone will make a big old deal about it, and pretty soon it's going to become your normal, and you forget about it. However, another thing that's becoming normal is Logan Paul and Logan Paul speaking. And when he's more of an attraction, he's exceptional. He's extraordinary. When he's there every week, he sort of seems a little bit ordinary. So my personal opinions about him, outside wrestling aside, I'm not saying he's bad. He's as good as anyone else, probably better than most, but it doesn't feel special anymore. In fact, it's almost like oversaturation. So, I didn't really love the segment, but ever since Elimination Chamber, I've sort of known we were going towards a triple threat at WrestleMania with Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton in there. I've always thought that Kevin Owens was going to be the one to throw in it, but I feel like it's now Randy Orton's to win. or they sort of they did the tease with the brass knuckles, but Randy Orton stopped himself and they sort of fist bumped, but Randy Orton kept those knuckles. I'm not sure next time Logan Paul won't sneak out of there, and we might not get into a Randy Orton Kevin Owens feud, and Logan Paul keeps that U.S. title, which is not what I want. I want that title to go on a wrestler.
Yeah, that's definitely.
What's up, Jeffrey?
It should be.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Perfect. Let's see. What was next? Oh, no, the match right after that. It was basically Randy Orton and Kevin Owens tagging together to face Grayson Waller and Austin.
You can't jump right into that. First, you have to see the Randy Orton and Logan Paul had a standoff, and Logan Paul tried to get him with the knuckles. Randy Orton avoided it, kicked him, but Logan Paul escaped the RKO. But KSI, who was in the ring, who's Logan's business partner, he took a RKO like a champ. Now he had plenty of time to exit the ring. The timing was a little bit off, but you could see him talking to himself, going, "Oh no, what did I get myself into? Oh no, this is going to hurt so bad. Oh shit, what's going to happen now?" And then he took that.
That was definitely interesting. That was a nice setup. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But then we had like commercials and like a backstage segment. We saw security coming in, tons of security coming in to guard with Nick Aldis, to guard the bloodline and to guard Cody and Seth. And like 7 minutes later, Randy Orton's still standing there in the ring, and then Kevin Owens comes in. So I guess also we realized there's a tag team match.
Yeah, that shit was hilarious because you could definitely see the setup, like you were alluding to earlier. So the triple threat is inevitable, but I'm personally just tired of seeing Austin Theory and Grayson Waller being a part of this. I think that they should be doing something else, even if because they're good heels, but I don't know. I just feel like they got nothing for them because when they went to Perth, I mean, clearly, they threw them as part of the show because they get kids from Australia, but right now it just seems like wasted talent, especially with Austin Theory. Yeah. I might just be saying that because Austin Theory was shoved down our throats for a long time. So, I was hoping for more with him. But yeah. Yeah. I'm just I feel like they should be doing something else.
I have mixed feelings about this because I feel like they definitely rushed Grayson Waller up because they thought he had a personality. He really isn't that good a wrestler. He has about 5, moves, and 2 of them are running out of the ring and then running back in and doing a cutter or something else. And he's not that charismatic. I mean, I think they thought that they were going to get another Miz, and maybe he'll develop into it, but he's not there yet. That said, they both have punchable faces, and then teaming with Logan Theory makes sense. They're all sort of young. They're all brash. They're all handsome. They all think that they're superstars. They all have a social media credential, although Austin Theory's is entirely because of someone else, but he's still taking credit for it. That said, I think that the Grayson Waller effect is usually terrible. The one in Perth was embarrassing. It was a waste of time. So I think they're putting them on the show, but they're your hateable jobbers, and I think for now that's fine. But as Jeffrey points out, and as everybody's seen, basically they're replaying what Bayley did to Io Sky and kept putting her in matches, kept putting damage control in matches without putting herself in line. That's what Grayson Waller keeps doing to Austin Theory, though they ruined it last week by having Grayson Waller in the main event with Cody Rhodes, so they sort of got off of their own story, which was stupid. But, I mean, I feel the same way with you, that Austin Theory was pushed down our throat, and he was sort of Vince's chosen one. And I think they're still trying to wipe the Vince stink off of him. And they're going to slowly develop sympathy for him. He's going to get sick of it. He's going to explode on Grayson Waller, and he's going to win his first feud with Grayson Waller and have a babyface run. I think.
But the thing with that is just that, look, they tried to do that the first time that Vince has gotten into trouble. Right, and he even cut that promo of your daddy isn't here anymore and all of that, and and then they repackaged them.
They repackaged them to Christmas.
Made them better. and then they got him to beat John Cena, and they gave him all that hard booking, but now he's a jobber. So and the kid, he's good in the ring. He looks great. It's not bad on the mic, but now, look, he could just still be paying his dues because I mean that whole thing that they did in Perth. As a fan, I'm sure that he loved it. You know what I mean? That's probably something he always wanted to do, people's lines and then to take people's moves and shit. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. I might just be speaking too soon because he still is very young, but I definitely see a lot in him. So it's just a little sad to see him going down the jobber route right now.
Definitely, if you take a still shot of him, especially a few years ago before he grew the beard out and when his hair was more closely cropped. And if you take a picture of young John Cena, maybe like right around the prototype to John Cena stage, and you put them next to each other, you can see exactly what they see in him. However, what you said is exactly correct. The word kid. He's still a kid. He's like 26 years old. There's plenty of time. And one thing we know about WWE is it's partly about paying your dues, but I think if you look towards the past and history sort of a flat line, and WWE is all about taking turns. This last year, most of the last year, Bayley lost probably 90% of her matches. The Miz lost like 98% of his matches. I think his record was literally like 3-103 in 2023. They're taking turns, and Bayley this year is going to have more success. Yes, she will be the victim of beatdowns, but she's got more success. And I think once the turn comes, once Austin Theory realizes he's being used and he breaks, then he's going to have the turn. And Grayson Waller is the perfect guy to get over. Maybe they're setting up for Austin Theory to become the U.S. champion again, though. I mean, he's had that title a couple times. But from Logan Paul, that means more. I don't know, but I'm not worried about it. He's young. He's got the look. He's a good wrestler. He's not that great to talk to. He hasn't really found his personality yet. Frankly, when he was at his best, it was when he was with The Way. And I don't give Johnny Gargano a lot of credit for much. I don't find him particularly interesting. But The Way, for whatever reason, that whole group together, including Dexter Lumis and the Indie Love, all of it, when they were like the Gargano's kids, basically, all of that worked. And I don't know if it'll work on the main roster because lots of things that work in NXT don't work on the main roster, but I kind of think that would. And I think all of them have suffered for not being together. Especially Dexter Lumis. Where the hell's he been? I mean, probably most people forgot.
Totally.
Anyway, I'm not worried about it. If after they do a face turn and still nobody's interested in him, 7.5 months down the road, then I'd start to worry and think about repackaging or, I know WWE doesn't usually do it, but it's the Triple H era and things are different. Maybe you send them on excursion to, Triple A is not so thrilled with AEW. Maybe you send them on excursion to Triple A, or maybe, all the smoke and fire about relationships with Japanese promotions and WWE, that there's still interest there somewhere. Maybe you send them on excursion to a Japanese promotion. Maybe it's even New Japan. Maybe New Japan is tired of, maybe they need the money and then they're tired of having all their top people stolen from them and they want to go back to, we bring in the big Americans, like they used to bring in the Road Warriors and Terry Gordy and Stan Hansen, and then people love to see it. I know Austin Theory is nowhere near that, but he's sort of like a modern era, cognate of that, I suppose. So anyway, talking a lot about Austin Theory, who's probably the least important person on this show. Listen, Jeff. Lots of people have wrestling schools. The Sean Spears has a wrestling school. Carl Anderson has lots of people have wrestling schools, but they still work in wrestling. Yeah. I mean, he's still under contract.
That's true.
So who knows? Who knows? Maybe he'll play a role. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of money in the wrestling business. No, there's just a lot of. There's a lot of different ways to make money in the wrestling business. So. Yeah, you do got a point there. Like they all definitely got a wrestling school. So
Yeah, that's good. What's better than being a WWE superstar and having a wrestling school? How's a better way to get students in there?
Yeah, Booker T. I mean, Booker T, in my opinion, is a genius. Because him being in NXT every week is basically a promotion of his wrestling school. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's freaking smart as hell. Like,
so it's also a paycheck. I mean, you know, but I mean, more to the point, Roxanne Perez being on NXT every week is a commercial for wrestling. So, I mean, I think the other person who was AQ, Amari Miller, who took some time off, I think, after an injury and due to mental health. She's back on the indies now, and people are making a big deal about that. And good luck to her. I think she still needed a lot of seasoning. I mean, obviously, she was in NXT. But if she makes if she has like a Stephanie DeLander who is Portia Parada, I was going to say Matt Cardona, but that's absurd. Like, there's only one Matt Cardona. But if she has a decent indie career and finds her way into an AEW or back to WWE, or even a TNA, that's another commercial for his wrestling school. So you generally hear about Killer Kowalski and the Heart Dungeon, but you don't hear a lot of there's plenty of wrestling schools. Not a lot of them make it to Major League Wrestling promotions. I don't want to get the impression I'm saying MLW when I say Major League Wrestling. Is it commercial time, my dude?
And let's see. So, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Is definitely commercial time. But I forgot where the stuff on. Oh, you do? Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I got one. Here's a commercial. Hey, we will be right back after the commercial.
Let's just stand on your feet right now for my man, AJ Francis. Another question that came across in the chat and everything else is, we know where you've been. We know where you're trying to go. Do you see yourself crossing paths with who, Mr. Swerve Strickland? And if so,
if the money right, I mean, Swerve
to work with or go to work with or to go after.
Nah, if me and Swerve gonna do something, it's gonna be against each other.
Okay.
It's too much. It's too much money in that, and I'm not playing second banana to nobody anymore. So I'm tired of writing everybody's promos and then everybody pretending that I'm the backup dancer. It's not gonna happen.
Ooh, so people out here Milli Vanilli in it.
Yeah, so like I'm not finna. We did the Hit Row song. I wrote the song. We recorded it in my house. I engineered it. My producer made the beat. I mastered the song. We did all that in my house. There's plaques on my wall right here. Like this is not a game to me.
Hit Row.
Me and AJ Francis have a lot in common. He has plaques on his wall, and I have plaque on the lining of my heart vessels, blood vessels. Good joke.
That was a good one. That was funny. I didn't see you going there. That was funny. Oh man. Shit, no, I lost my train of thought here.
AJ was spitting there, so check out that interview. It was last Monday on the Mike Knox show, so check out that interview, an exclusive, and obviously he wasn't holding anything back. Still waiting for a response from Swerve.
Well, Swerve is huge right now. He might end up becoming the champion.
Well, that's for a different show. But
becoming the champion, you never know.
Yeah. Well, listen, I hope so. I want him to become the champion a week ago, and people are saying they made the right decision by not doing it. And then he had a promo exchange where some people poo-pooed. I didn't think it. I actually thought it was fine. I don't trust, like, AEW knows how to get somebody there, but they don't know what to do afterwards. But when they don't pull the trigger on someone, they also don't know what to do with them after they don't pull the trigger. And I'm not sure they know what to do with Swerve. And the only obvious thing was to try to get more revenge on Hangman Page, which is probably overkill anyway. But Hangman Page is taking time off for some sort of personal reason. So I don't know. So what do we see? We see Jericho. I mean, Jericho drags everyone down. So it's been a long time since Jericho's elevated anyone. I mean, arguably Orange Cassidy, and you say MJF, but I don't know. I think MJF sort of kept Jericho. Anyway, that's an entirely different promotion. So, what else? What happened at SmackDown after we got rid of
another squashing of Mia Yim? I noticed by Tiffany Stratton. It was the Tiffany Stratton show once again.
Listen, it's Tiffy time,
and it is Tiffy time.
Well,
it is definitely Tiffy time, and the thing is, what I find. Well, I mean, yeah, no, definitely. She's the pretty face right now. One thing that I like that Shawn Michaels did with her is that he kind of like used her prissy character to tell a story. I like that whole thing that they did with Fallon Henley, where one lost or won the match, and then one had to go work for another. You know what I mean? It's WrestleMania time, so I think that they should be putting Tiffany Stratton in some kind of a story. I don't know. I don't see anything for her for the big show, and she's got a lot of attention. Like I feel like that match was just filler, just to put eyes on Tiffany Stratton because people want to see her. Granted, no problem. But it's just having her fight Mi Chin again and making Mi Chin just look like a jobber, which is sad because Mia Yim put in a lot of work. You know what I mean? So,
but
I mean, it definitely was. It just felt like a bathroom break match, unfortunately, for people that
I disagree with that. I mean, listen. When I say it's Tiffy time, it's not just because she just says it, and it's not just because she's a pretty face. If you look at her, she's the perfect amalgam of diva and athlete. She is like if Charlotte and Carmella were morphed into one person and de-aged by 12, 15 years. I mean, she's like she's like a perfect specimen. She's basically she's like Bianca Belair except heel version. She's not there yet, and she still even made there was a slight misstep when she was first saying for the world's prettiest moonsault. So she's still learning. I don't think she needs to be in a prominent spot in WrestleMania. I'm not sure she needs to be on WrestleMania at all. Maybe the segment speaking or being obnoxious, reminding us of her characters more than just saying Tiffy time, because she's definitely getting the Orange Cassidy pockets Pentagon Cerro Miedo thing doing it too many times. Mia Yim has put the work in, but let's not forget she's a veteran. Her husband's having double surgery and may not be being paid right now. She got rehired. All doing a job means is that you're working. Not everyone going to be a star at the same time. Remember what I said earlier? WWE is about taking turns, and they just mentioned she's feeling sort of like an outcast ever since the OC sort of split up. Well, the Good Brothers are on SmackDown. AJ is in a separate feud with LA Knight, being heelish. She's sort of left alone. They're reminding you there's a reason why she's has consternation. She'll probably turn heel and they'll find something for her. But not everyone. I mean, what are the Street Profits? It's important right now. What is Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne doing now? What's Pretty Deadly doing? Nothing. So it's not everyone is doing something.
That is true, because there were certain people that all you really got to see yesterday were very, very small segments. And if you didn't watch the show, you're definitely gonna miss it, because that's not gonna be on YouTube. Like the segment where Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate were literally just playing the video game, and then they just had a small segment talking about training and that they should be doing other things, and he passes a controller and Pete Dunne.
But that wasn't the segment. You're not selling it correctly. The segment is that Tyler Bate was playing the video game, playing themselves in some giant match. Andre the Giant was in there, and Pete Dunne walks up looking disapprovingly, but Pete Dunne always looks disapprovingly. and Tyler Bate is having a two-way conversation with Pete Dunne, but Pete Dunne's not saying a word. But Tyler Bate just kept going, "You're right. We should go to the gym. It's WrestleMania time to get extra reps." And then Pete Dunne doesn't say anything. He goes, "You're right. We should be talking more about the tag team title matches and getting back into that picture." And then he says nothing. "You're right. I'll go talk to Nick Aldis about getting us back into that tag team." So they're advancing that story of they want to split those tag team titles. We all want them to. I don't care about Pete Dunne or Tyler Bate. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can shoot them both out of a cannon and send them right to AEW. That's where they belong. I see Tyrion Lannister and Bronn from Game of Thrones when I see those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want those little wrestlers on my screen, especially Tyler Bate. But that was that story. So they're selling 2K, 2-4, and sort of advancing a story about, obviously there's going to be some sort of tag team tournament or tag team gauntlet on both brands. And then, we'll see. We'll be reminded Pretty Deadly will be back again, Street Profits, the AOP. And there's a lot of teams maybe that's when Grayson Waller and Austin Theory explode or implode, whatever the case may be. I don't know. But that's what that was about. But it's not funny.
I just found it interesting how they figured out ways to do it in such a short amount of time. Not just that, also the feud between LA Knight and AJ Styles, because it literally just was a video package and then LA Knight slamming a chair, and that was the end of that. They didn't need to. They certainly didn't need to do much. Mm-hmm.
I think they're basically stealing the gimmick of Nathan Fraser and Axiom from NXT, where Axiom keeps doesn't have any facial expressions because he's wearing a mask, but he keeps acting like everybody can see his face, and it's sort of a variation of the same joke, but that one's much funnier because it's less meta. But yeah, I mean, AJ Styles did a heel promo in the darkened staircase, very effective, looking jacked as shit, and basically saying, if you want to know why I flew across the world, notice he didn't say around the world because he might be a flat earther, so he said across the world. I'm not sure if he did that or if it was a shout out to people who've been following him for a while. I don't know if it was like a joke he made himself to the rest of us. He said, because LA Knight took my spot. He walked right over my body. I know it's a cutthroat business, but you know what? You have no talent. You don't belong in the ring with me, and I'm going to teach you. I'm a phenomenal choice to teach you that lesson and do that job. And then LA Knight was watching on TV, and he took the chair that AJ used on him, which he somehow got through customs and back from Perth, and he destroyed a non-functional computer monitor, pretending he was watching TV on it, and kept slamming the back of it. No electric sparks, no nothing. They really went cheap on the pyrotechnics on that one. But just reminds us that this is a feud, a grudge feud, and again, not everyone being something big, but a grudge feud having the payoff at WrestleMania is probably as good as these guys are going to get, unless you want to make 17 more titles. No, you don't. I mean, I listen, if I'm WWE, I'm making 2 more titles. I'm making a women's mid-card title for like the Mia Yims of the world, or the Tiffys, and I'm splitting those NXT and WWE women's tag team championships because there's too many talented women that are doing nothing, and there's no reason to unify those belts. Bringing women's tag team champions from the main roster onto NXT helps the ratings a little bit, but it's not like you're getting 200,000 viewers tuning in. But I wouldn't be surprised if the LA Knight AJ Styles match at WrestleMania wasn't some sort of no DQ death fight, street fight, or maybe like a Hell in the Cell match. It'll certainly involve a chair. Maybe I can't see them doing tables, ladders, and chairs.
Yeah, I definitely see it being like a feud where it lasts a few months, and they just doing some quality work. Because I think they've worked together before, probably in TNA, no? AJ Styles.
I'm not sure. I think AJ was gone. I don't think they ever crossed paths before. I think that AJ was doing New Japan, Ring of Honor by the time Eli Drake was there, and then he moved on to. Then he came to WWE while Eli Drake went to.
I'm curious to see if they.
NWA. Yeah, absolutely. She's a future multi-time women's champion. And honestly, I don't see that for Mia Yim, but but she can be. I think she can be a convincing. I mean, her work is good in the ring when she's given a chance to shine. So again, they take turns. Everyone relax.
Mm-hmm.
She's working. This is a
That's why I
job.
feel
They
the way I
get
feel. Like her,
yeah. She gets paid whether
Mm.
she wins or loses the same. There's no pay window. When JR says that, and when the commentators say they're making that up, it's lying. Oh well, there was
Y'all agree with Bianca and Naomi?
yeah. Well, we there was the interview with Kayla Braxton and Bailey where basically Bailey says, so I know I made a bunch of enemies over the last couple of years. I did everything damage control. They betrayed me, and Kayla's like, well, don't you think you might have deserved it? She's like, maybe. But we see in the back Naomi back to her green and black hair, which I don't like that look. Watching and feeling bad for Bailey. And Bianca Belair comes in and goes, why do you feel bad for her? This is exactly, she's reaping exactly what she sowed. And Naomi's like, well, I still feel bad for her. And Bailey's like, said, you weren't here. So you don't know what it's all about. So maybe I'll just wish her, good luck at WrestleMania. But, Naomi, who everyone says, oh, she's buried already. She's going to be the backup for Bailey in a top feud with Bailey versus Damage Control. And maybe Bianca will be dragged into that as well, and that's going to be their feud for the coming half year to 3/4 of a year. And so again, everyone's doing something. Now I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense because if anybody can be the Sasha Banks replacement for Bailey, it's Naomi. At least for the storyline that they were trying to tell, simply because Naomi left with Sasha Banks. So
there's the real life connection. As far as character is concerned, I think we already have a legit boss replacement, and her name is Kiana James.
Makes sense. I mean, as far as storyline goes, I think that Naomi should join the bloodline and do something there. But
Jade being dragged into that actually makes a lot of sense because if it's 4-4, you can protect her if she's still not ready to go solo, and she can learn and you can have a whole bunch of mixed matches and then of course at some point there's going to be the betrayal. There's going to be some sort of miscommunication probably between Bailey and Naomi and Bianca and Jade, which will allow Bailey to keep the title longer before she has to go against a Bianca or a Jade, who obviously are going to one of them is going to take the title from Bailey. I mean, Bailey will probably win the title at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, but I don't think she's not going to have another 1 year run, but she might have like a 8-month run or 7-month or 9-month run until you get a Bianca or Jade getting to her, or maybe both, the triple threat. That could be pretty cool.
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Bailey will just have like a summer run and then drop it by Survivor Series.
Yeah, that Dakota versus Bailey match, that's going to end in a schmoz. I mean, maybe not. Maybe Bailey will get a clean win, and then the Kabuki Warriors and run in and beat her down afterwards. I mean, that's sort of WWE 101. Well, both are WWE 101. But as you get close to WrestleMania, you make the challenger get hot by winning, but you also cool them down by getting beat down. So, so there was that. That segment was fine. It was interesting, and that's where Naomi. Everyone predicted that's where she was going to be. She was in Elimination Chamber, but she was first eliminated. She lost to Tiffany, so she did some honors. Some people say it's paying penance. I don't think so. I think she did some honors. She did what she elevated Tiffany Stratton. And knowing that she was going into another, actually more important story, it's a win-win. That's what successful booking is supposed to be, is when there's a win-win. I mean, it can't be for everybody. Not everyone gets to win-win at the same time, but you have to trust the process that your time is going to come.
True that. So now, let's talk about your favorite guy. The Almighty.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, talk. I'm going to listen. I'm a little bit.
Hey, listen, man. I respect him because he's doing his hardest to get Karrion Kross over. He's doing the most. He really is.
He is. Let me say something. This feud is not working for me. This Karrion Kross faction doesn't work for me. I'm a fan of Karrion Kross. I'm a fan of Killer Kross. When I first saw him on Lucha Underground, I'm like, oh my God, this is the scariest mother effer I've ever seen in my life. Now, everyone in Lucha Underground looks scarier than they do in WWE because most of the wrestlers they were 5'7", 170 pounds. But you know, they were like the, you know, all the CMLL guys that are invading AEW right now. But AOP being behind him, they're bigger than him. I think he needs guys that are smaller than him. Having people bigger than him doesn't help his character. Scarlett looks great, but what is Paul Ellering doing there, and why does he have a puppet on his hand? He doesn't say anything. He doesn't look scary anymore. He just looks like a confused old man. None of this adds anything. The Last Testament reminds me too much of Judgment Day. I mean, none of it's working. And his finisher, it's like 4 steps to do sort of basically a front cutter. I mean, it's nothing. So is the final prayer is the name? What is this, fucking Madonna? Just like a prayer. None of this works for me. It's not helping the Street Profits. Lashley's doing things. I'm a Lashley mark. I know Lashley is not in the world title picture right now. He absolutely should be. This feud is not helping anyone. I don't think it's helping Kross. The match was okay for a while. It really was. It was okay for like the first 3/4 of it. The ending sucked. Yeah, Lashley got the full Nelson on, but then the beatdown. The Street Profits looked terrible because they couldn't hold their own. You know, B-Fab chased Scarlett around, so, you know, Paul Ellering didn't get involved. Not that the 75-year-old should turn the tide, but at least the numbers would have made sense. None of this made sense if you're trying, you know, if you're trying to help the Street Profits. If you're trying to get Kross and AOP over, I get it, but I don't know. It's just not working. It's just, frankly, I'd rather Lashley turns on the Street Profits, joins Kross. I would like to see Lashley and Kross as a tag team. Maybe that'll work, and the AOP backing them up and them getting tag team gold at some point. Maybe that'll get crossover. And I don't know that Lashley's ever been a tag team champion. I at least not in WWE. I don't think so. And he's 47, so I mean he can still go, but at least that'd be something. And that would, and I would say that's the last chance for Kross as a star. If he wants to be Iron Mike, or if he can be Iron Mike Sharp and have a 10, 15 year career of being a tough out and mostly losing, while testing out things and see what works, that's okay. But none of it's working. He doesn't feel like the Fiend. He doesn't feel even like the House of Black. He doesn't feel like Judgment Day. He just feels like nothing. He feels like a giant empty calorie. And it hurts me to say all of these words and have these thoughts.
I think that the Undertaker effect is no longer a thing. I think that might be the wrong choice of words, but I don't think that House of Black or even the Dark Order or things like this.
Shout out to Steve and shout out to Scarlett's side boob, because that was the highlight of the show.
Hilarious. But yeah, just all these gothic, dark themes, I don't think they're as effective as they used to be. I mean, there's a market for everything, but I just don't see these things getting as over as they used to, at least. I mean, I think that Aleister Black has been pushing this narrative for a long time and took it, from NXT to AEW and all that. And I certainly do think that there's a market for it, but certainly not to what it was before. You know what I mean? And that's why I think I feel like this is another carbon copy of that kind of thing. And I don't think we have the market for it anymore. I really don't.
I agree to an extent, and I disagree to an extent. I think that the market isn't working because one, it's not being done well. Two, it's not being booked well. Three, it's oversaturated. There's too much wrestling, and there's too many wrestlers, and there's only so many gimmicks. So you mentioned House of Black. Well, even in AEW, they have the Dark Order basically doing the same thing, and the Righteous basically doing a version of the same thing. They have 3 factions basically doing the same thing. But even there, it's working. I mean, the crowd likes Julia Hart. They're really behind Julia Hart. She is a mediocre wrestler at best, but she has a character. Now, characters around AEW, but it's working, and they put a title around her, and she's keeping it even though she's injured. So, it can work. The Fiend worked. The Fiend was over. The Fiend was over, and there were, and book, I mean, rest in peace. I mean, he actually is dead, but when I say killed, I don't mean in the real way. And I know how terrible it sounds with someone who actually died so young tragically. I'm a huge Fiend fan, but the booking killed the character in that there were 5 matches where he should have won, but he had to win at least 3 of them. And one was the Inferno match, had to win that. One was the Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins, had to win that match, and the Goldberg match. Absolute travesty with that. Other ones he should have won. The one that I'll sort of give it a little bit of a pass because it was basically a horror movie, and he ended up living at the end like Jason at the bottom of the lake, was the cinematic volume match with Braun Strowman, which wasn't nearly as good as the match with the cinematic match with John Cena at WrestleMania, but it was creative and he tried. It was it was like Matt Hardy did the Broken Universe like a video or two too many times, and I think they did that there. I mean, Dexter Lumis was doing it also in NXT. So when it's done well, and when the person is booked to be almost unkillable, like when the Fiend was doing, I know this is old history. I came up with this concept because he had the hurt and heel gloves, and I wanted the Fiend to be absolutely indestructible, except when somebody finally figured out that if you pulled off his heel glove, he was no longer indestructible. And when you took off his hurt glove, he was no longer as strong as he was before. And if you put them on, you could steal his powers, or his abilities. Or just it doesn't work for you, but now it's an even fight. So you could have done that. So like when you took the Undertaker's urn, and that would have worked. So that was just, and listen, there's records of me saying that back then. It's not something I've been thinking about for 5 years. But I think Karrion Kross, part of it is that he or someone keeps changing the character. Like he's been like, he looks like a hitman. He looks like a gambler. They've been doing the tarot stuff. They've been doing the video game, bad guy, Grand Theft Auto kind of character. But then he's been doing the spooky demon guy. I'm not even talking about back when he was wearing red Spartacus. Fuck that. Who cares? Ric Flair survived that. Farouk survived that. That was a bad start, but that no longer an excuse. Stop blaming Vince on that. He hasn't stuck to a character, but he keeps changing the character so small that it feels like the same character, but the same character doesn't know who he is. He would have been better off if he just did the 3 faces of Foley. So he tried to take the spoiled apples and make applesauce. So he said, "Yeah, I've lost a lot of feuds, but I've turned them all heel. Basically, I took away this one's honor, I took away this one's pride, blah blah." Nobody cares. I mean, it was a good try, but they didn't do anything with it after. You have to start winning after that. But then you put them in a feud, in a faction that makes no sense, in a feud with people you don't want to lose. They don't want Lashley to lose a lot. They don't want the Street Profits to lose a lot, if at all. So it was just dumb. Put them in a feud with someone. I mean, the Good Brothers were here doing nothing. Put them in a feud with the Good Brothers, and AJ could have abandoned them. There you go. They win a feud. They get a little momentum. Then you put them in a feud with someone else. Obviously, you know how I feel about Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. Sacrifice them to AOP and Cross. Let them get a friend. I don't know where Sheamus is. He could have come back. And listen, Sheamus is in his 40s too. I love Sheamus, but he could take some L's and elevate some people right now. He'd be a perfectly fine person for that. So anyway, I feel like I spend so much time talking about Karrion Kross, and maybe now is the only time it's been appropriate, but I've been talking about him for 3 years now, sort of explaining that I'm a fan and how disappointed I am in everything going on. And and while he's actually getting TV time now, good for him. And he's a good guy. He's interactive with his fans. He's positive on social media. He looks, but it ain't clicking. He's not vicious enough. He's not winning. It's like the Fiend. He's being booked terribly. It's like this is all just treading water. And I guess at WrestleMania they're gonna have a 6-on-6 here, but who's gonna win? I mean, if Cross and his crew doesn't win, what's the point? And if Lashley and the Street Profits don't win, who's taking the pin? 47-year-old Lashley because he's 47? My bromance? No. Yeah, I like Karrion Kross, but I don't love Karrion Kross. I love Bobby Lashley. And by the way, Lana, that's not a divorce. You're still married to the man.
That's hilarious.
I want a divorce, and instantly you're divorced. Believe me, I hold the record for the longest divorce in Baltimore County. Look it up, people.
That's hilarious. For real. Do you really?
Yep.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, because in the beginning there were things to fight over. Other things happened.
Wait, so what's next? Is it
I was worth less than my organs. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Wait, what is next? The Latin Civil War?
I believe so. Yeah, they were talking about. It was weird how Corey phrased it, or he said, talking about factions. You have to look a little bit further down the roster. On this one, that's a bad choice of words. I know he just means you have to look at, but when you say further down the roster, it's like vertical, not horizontal. I actually think Legado and LWO is actually probably a little bit higher on the pecking order part. Anyway, this was funny because you see Dragon Lee, who's been forgotten, walking through that. First, I wasn't sure who he was. And like Elektra Lopez walks up to him looking tasty as, a fabulous, delicious fajita with extra guacamole and sour cream. Oh my God. And she towers over Dragon Lee in every way, shape, or form. And she said, you look like a kid trying to dress up as Rey Mysterio, and you fucking did look like a kid dressing up as Rey Mysterio. And then, Legado made fun of him, they surrounded him, and they pushed him down and embarrassed him.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, leads to a match with him against Angel. And, and then you do the usual. Dragon Lee pulls out the match, but then they all come out and they beat him up. And where's LWO? Nowhere to be found, right? Ray isn't there. He's coming back next week. LWO, I guess they're busy in NXT. They're too busy to be Carlito. I guess he had a bad apple, speaking of sour apples, and his belly hurts. And Zelina Vega wasn't feeling up to doing that in a row. So anyway, Dragon Lee's back in the house and won a match, but got beat up, which is sort of, we were talking about that earlier. How you win a match, you're protected, then you get beat up. With Bayley, we're talking about she'll win the match against Dakota and then she'll get beat up. So everyone is sort of protected in their own way. Duh. I mean, she looks like Jennifer Lopez if you actually didn't want to fuck with Jennifer Lopez.
That's funny. She does look a lot like J-Lo. But yeah, that whole match and that whole thing is more filler promo for whatever it is that they're gonna do. However, I will say,
how dare you call that filler promo? I live in Baltimore. We have crab cakes, and when you say filler, it means crab cakes, and that means the crab cake sucks and it's cheap, and they're charging a lot of crab cake for basically breadcrumbs. No, nothing with Elektra Lopez and Legado is filler. They're still excellent. This was.
I know. Funny. I mean, I will say this. I think that Santos Escobar is doing a very good job of getting over as a heel.
Such a good heel.
Personally,
how do you say "how dare you" in Spanish?
¿Cómo te atreves?
¿Cómo te atreves? Type it in the private chat. I'll get it right.
Don't worry about it, man.
I'm Latino by marriage.
By marriage, it doesn't mean you're gonna start rolling R's, bro.
Rolling right.
Yeah, that shit is hilarious. Wait.
Say spiel.
No, but
say spiel. Exactly.
Spiel? Yeah.
You hear me
see?
letting no spiel. You can't do that either. I'm not laughing at you.
Hey,
See, look at this.
it is
My,
what it
speaking
is.
my beautiful wife there. How do you
Papacito.
say what, papacito? How dare you is what I'm asking them how to say. Look, my beautiful wife again. Hello, guys. Hola, chica. Hola, mi amor. Que linda, que linda. Here, it's your Spanish teacher. Well, actually, you're so embarrassing. Just type in how to say how dare you. Oh, never mind. I got a lifeline. ¿Cómo te atreves? ¿Cómo te atreves? ¿Cómo te atreves? Stop laughing! You're a big jerk.
Atreves.
Atreves. And he is big, by the way. I met him 2 years ago. And he's like 6'2" and like, I don't know, probably like 290 pounds. He's a big man. He's like a big sweet bear.
That's funny, man.
I'm like a short, sour bear.
Oh, wow.
By the way, we don't mean bear that way, you weirdos. I mean, not weirdos. Not in like the cross-dressing sense. Like the actual animal, like the mean thing with claws. ¿Cómo te atreves? Someone's going to clip you know what?
Yeah.
You know how Bailey is reaping what she sowed? I'm going to reap what I sow.
That's true. That's funny.
That's a lesson in life, kids. Wait. Everybody reaps what they sow. If it can happen to me, it's going to happen to you. Believe me.
So I think right after this is the actual, confrontation, because there wasn't really a contract signing or anything like of the sorts, at least yet. They'll probably do that later. But this was the first confrontation between Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and the Bloodline. So, everybody had their super long entrance, and that probably took up more time than anything else. However, one thing that I was really impressed by was the Thor-like entrance that The Rock had with all of the lightning and all of that other stuff. I thought that was very interesting. I wonder what it looked like. Fact? Say what?
Want to know a fun fact and a little in-show plugging? Tomorrow at 4:00 on UPR, right here, is the premiere of The Lip Men on the UFL, a podcast about the UFL. It's going to be done by my much older brother, Jake. Oh, I mean my son. And The Rock, of course, owns the UFL. He's one of the owners. And there's a team called the Brahmas. And their logo is the same as Brahma. But all of the uniforms are going to have the Rock's Brahma logo on the back because he owns his shit. And that's part of he has a partnership with Under Armour, which, of course, by the transitive property goes to the UFL as well. So every logo is going to have a Brahma bull on the back, which might be confusing if you're playing the Brahma Bulls and you're on the other, or the I think it's the Houston. No, it's the Houston. I'm not sure which team is. I think it's the San Antonio Brahmas. I'm not 100% sure. I will know by tomorrow when we do the show. But this is a show for if you're not a super fan of the UFL. Of course, it's season 1. But if you weren't a fan of the XFL and the USFL, this is a bottom up. You're going to learn with us. We're going to start with the basics. We're going to do 3 weeks, which is until the actual season doesn't start for 4 weeks. So we're going to take you methodically through things. We're going to learn with you, and this ties into my point that tied into the Thor entrance, but also The Rock had his own entrance, which is pivotal to my thinking. Cody and Seth came down together, Shields fashion through the audience. Of course, Seth wearing a sleeveless sleeping bag, looking like Stanley Tucci from the Hunger Games. But please carry on.
I honestly, I remember the first time they tried this idea with the XFL in the early 2000s, and this is the first time that I feel like it's actually going to go somewhere. I hope so. I hope that it's not more of the same, because I feel like that whole idea has just been cursed ever since back then. But now I feel like it's actually...
This is the third iteration with the USFL. Listen,
I'm not talking about just the XFL. I'm talking about everything. And and I think now with the merger and with everybody just getting all hands on deck, I think it's actually going to go somewhere. So we'll see.
I think
I'm not saying
be
that for the first
surprised.
season. But...
Yeah, I think you all will be surprised about the quality of play, but also some of the names involved with some of these teams in the league in general. And we're going to cover that tomorrow. And if you can't listen to it tomorrow, of course, it'll be on the YouTube and Unpopular Review streams is always available for you to watch. But I'm also going to upload this as an audio podcast. It'll be the same, so you can listen at your leisure. You won't see us, but you can hear us. And just this is not to plug my other podcasts, but I don't have an individual feed for this show yet. Obviously, it's going to depend on the response and the growth and things like that. But there aren't that many podcasts on the UFL. There are ones that exist, but there's about like 6 or 7 of them that I could find. So it is it's not a crowded field in the world of podcasts. Sounds very unusual. So I'm hoping that's an opportunity. But point is, it will be on the Wrestling Soup Hammerlock Hangover feed, which is on Spreaker. It would also be on the Garden of Doom feed, which you can find on Wrestling Soup or just regular. So, if you hate those shows and you don't want to listen to them, you still can subscribe just for the UFL podcast for the time being. But I think you're going to like those shows. I've got like 300 episodes of Garden of Doom. There's something for everybody in there. Lots of things. We'll see if it gets its own feed, and if it is, I will update you. But right now, it sounds like it's a plug for my other podcasts. But that really is the only way, if you're not watching it on Unpopular Review, that you can listen to it on the audio through a podcast server. Obviously, you can listen to UPR without watching it also, just like anything else. So this was pretty interesting in that the promos. So here's the things that I heard. One, Roman Reigns, he insulted, saying that Cody Rhodes had to be stupid being from Texas. And The Rock sort of looked at him side eyes, which is why I was talking about, didn't he spend time in Texas? Doesn't he have a Brahma Bull because he sort of loves Texas? So that was part of it. And when The Rock was talking about the grandfathers and pointing to the sky and the great-grandfathers and the high chief, he walked behind Roman's back, put his finger there and said, one of my heroes, Dusty Rhodes from Texas, behind Roman's back. I mean, that was foreshadowing. It's now crystal clear to me that when The Rock whispered into Cody's ears all those weeks ago, what he said, or what the story's going to be, is he said, it wasn't make way for me versus Roman. He said, whatever I do, trust me, follow my lead, trust me. And when he says that he's going to take everything from Cody, that stipulation, no bloodline in the second card, The Rock is going to abandon Roman night one, either right away or sometime in the middle of the match at some pivotal moment, walk away. I don't think we're going to need to have, I mean, we may have like Cena, Austin, or someone, fight off Solo. Cena should get revenge on Solo because he did the honors for him and walk away that way. Jimmy's in another match with Jay. I don't know if it's the same night, but so you can have Stone Cold sneak up behind him and shake up beer, put it sprayed in his eyes and hit him with a stunner. But whatever it is, The Rock is going to abandon Roman night one, take away the bloodline, and then the next night Cody's going to finish the story, take away top, and that's going to take away everything. We're not getting Jacob Fatu. We're not getting Tama Tonga. We're not getting my idea of Braun Breaker. Put his fingers there. Paul Heyman's been recruiting him, coming in and giving a spear. He's not in the bloodline. He still screws Cody. He doesn't violate bloodline rules because he's not in the bloodline. We're not getting Seth Rollins betraying Cody Rhodes and rejoining the Shield and the two-man power crew. All of those are fun and exciting ideas, but the story will be finished, and The Rock made himself part of the story, and The Rock is walking out of WrestleMania a face. Agree, Mike Knox, and everyone check out the Mike Knox Show every Monday night here on UPR at 6 o'clock.
Well, I got a feeling it's going to be, just like you say, a betrayal, and then probably rocking Roman at SummerSlam for the red beads. You know what I mean? Without
a title. And by the way, I think at that point, Rock puts Roman over. because the bloodline will get replenished and the bloodline will be on top again. Not another 3-year reign, but this is not Roman's last title reign, and this is not people in the bloodline's last title reign.
I mean, I personally think that Roman Reigns is going to do an MJF where he loses the title and then goes away. You know, I mean, I don't know what that means for the rest of the bloodline, but I got a feeling that the guy is tired and definitely wants a break.
Well, there's over 3 months between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. He can take 6 to 8 weeks off and come back just through promos and vignettes or backstage segments. I think that you're entirely right. By the way, I think that Roman Reigns has been leaning out a little bit, which doesn't look great when he's next to The Rock, who's jacked to the gills. But I think that maybe Roman might be doing a movie or something. But if he's not, maybe he should take this time off and get himself back into full prime Tribal Chief 265 shape. He's looking like he's back 235-ish.
Well, long story short, the entire promo was really good because it was pretty much a flip of everything. Well, actually, no. The first part I really liked because Seth Rollins basically just started calling The Rock middle-aged and pretty much just saying that he needs to get over it because his time is over. And I thought that was pretty great. I thought that was pretty good because not that it's necessarily true and not because The Rock can't still do stuff, but it really is from a long time ago. No, it's just that his time really is a long time ago at this point. And I'd hate to say that because I was a big fan back then. But I thought that it was just a great line to get himself over and just to get at The Rock, because The Rock was basically just saying visual things, because Seth Rollins, luckily for him, he could get away with just coming out as a clown every week with
I don't know how
any fucking outfit that he wants, and you know what I mean.
And Seth Rollins said, "You can't have our time." He said, "Our." Because people, anyone who wants to go back 10 years, Seth Rollins has had his time. I mean, he's been pushed on our throats, as mercilessly as anyone else, maybe more than anyone else, maybe more than any two people. However, if you notice the promos that The Rock and Roman have been doing, The Rock is mostly The Rock. The only time he's in the plural is when he talks about the family or family. We do it for family. But it's never like, I want to do it. It's always begrudging. There's always delays. There's always a lot of tension in his neck. When it's us, he turns the mic over to Roman. And Roman is talking about the bloodline and us. The Rock let Roman finish, if you can smell, and he hands the mic over to Roman. So it's a gesture of goodwill, but it's not. Because The Rock doesn't want to say what the bloodline is cooking. Roman says so Roman is being fooled here the whole time. I don't know if this is to turn Roman face or not, or no, I don't think so. I think it's to make The Rock the face and to have the double feel good moment for WrestleMania night. All is right where The Rock, let's just say it plays out with Cena and Stone Cold helping out. You got The Rock, Stone Cold, and John Cena, basically the Avengers of wrestling the last 25 years, with their arms raised at the ramp. And then Roman, looking abandoned, the bloodline splayed out, and Cody's winning, going, tomorrow night, I finish the story, and Roman not knowing what to say. So you got that feel-good moment. And if I'm right, the next night, you get another feel-good moment with Cody winning the story. Now, for Seth, I predict doom. But I don't care about Seth. I'm all set with Seth Rollins. If nothing else, the guys from Queer Eye for the Straight Eye should find him and do an intervention. I mean, if he's gonna dress flamboyantly, he should at least look good.
See, now my whole thing with Seth Rollins, I really wonder what's gonna happen with Damian Priest, if he's gonna cash in on on Seth Rollins or if he's going to cash in on Drew McIntyre. Because in my opinion, I feel like the setup is already there for Seth to lose. You know, if Seth walks out with the championship, I'll be very shocked. To tell you the truth.
No, Drew is winning. It's an interesting question because it could go two ways. You could have Damian Priest cash in on Drew and ruin his moment again and make him go crazy with the title. And if all the stories are true that he hasn't re-signed the contract, maybe that'll be his inducement. You want to see this again? Then sign the contract. But that I don't believe it. I think he already re-signed the contract. They can just keep it secret because they haven't had to release the next quarterly reports yet. What I think is more likely is that Damian Priest attempts to cash in, but is unsuccessful. The cash in, he does successfully get the case to a referee, but he basically walks into a claymore and is unsuccessful. And in this time period that the Judgment Day will have already lost the tag team titles, and they'll be with somebody else or maybe somebody's else. Maybe they'll figure out a way for it to be Raw and SmackDown titles again by WrestleMania or at WrestleMania, or maybe after, but they lose the titles, so they're down. JD McDonough ain't winning nothing. Dom isn't winning anything. Rhea is going to maintain her title, but that's when she leaves the Bloodline, leaves Dominic, and that's when not the Bloodline, the Judgment Day, and it's Priest's failure that makes her turn the corner and has the rest of Judgment Day turn on him. Now, do they add someone to Judgment Day to fill switch? I mean, that might be a good place for Dexter Lumis, or people aren't Dexter Lumis and Omos, who are both doing nothing. Put them there or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think Priest wins via the cash in. If he was to do so, I would have loved it, but it should have happened already. I think he loses the cash in, and that's what turns him into a face. Because I do think somewhere down the line they want to have Damian Priest and Gunther face each other, possibly with that Intercontinental title involved. But
I think a nice change would be for Damian Priest to cash in on Gunther. To tell you the truth, make it a thing where you can cash in on a mid-card title. But then at the same time, there would be mixed reactions to that. Because it would kind of diminish the Money in the Bank. But right now...
Didn't go over well when Charlotte did with the NXT title. I mean, it's just stupid. Why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? Why would you take the biggest advantage in wrestling and use it for a mid-card title?
No, the reason I say that is because when they had their little face-to-face, Gunther was like, well, you're not cashing that thing on me. And then that's the first time I ever thought that was even a possibility.
I know, and that's
but the match would be good.
Oh, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying your idea is stupid. I'm just saying I personally think that that's a stupid way to do things. They've done it before. I just think it's a waste of the money. Like you said, it diminishes the Money in the Bank. And if you want to get Gunther versus Damian Priest, you can easily get them there. I mean, Damian has a successful cash in, and Gunther says, "You never beat me," and you have title versus title. It's not going to be Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, but it's not even a 2024 version, but it's title versus title, and it's two people that the crowd is behind and respects, but they're both still heels at the moment. Anyway, that's more for the Raw review show, which, by the way, every Monday night after Raw, around 11:15, we go live. It's usually me and the executive consultant, Chris Harris, though he's has to take a few weeks off. That's our last week, but we will have different co-hosts every week. The show will be happening. And this week, I'm told it's going to be, believe it or not, the Sandwich King himself, the King of Spades, Vinny La Spada, the guy most likely to restart The Sopranos, my co-host. I didn't even know he watched WWE, but Vinny La Spada will be my co-host. So if you miss our interaction from the Dynamite Review Show, you're going to get it this Monday night. Worth staying up for, people.
Nice. Nice.
Should we do another commercial, or should we just take it home?
No, we're almost finished. Because I mean, basically, it's what we have left is like the
we have 20 people watching, dude.
The finishing promo.
There's at least 20 people watching. I mean, I don't know what this little counter tells me if it's all platforms or just one, but and the chat is alive. So I don't know. Maybe we should keep rocking. I don't know. Nah.
All right.
Let's leave them one more. You're right. This is
you got one ready? You got one ready? You got one ready? You got one ready?
I know he's improv. I don't know. Can you smell what the Lipman is cooking? That's all I got. I have nothing else to say. But there was something weird. The show just sort of ended.
No, but speaking of that, no. But speaking of that, the promo that was interesting was The Rock's promo, because he basically did a flip of what Cody Rhodes did at the press conference, and basically spoke about his whole family. I like how he mentioned Goldust, how Goldust is a future Hall of Famer, because I always wondered what they were going to do about Goldust.
And his sister was
because but I like the fact that he slipped. I'm sorry?
Yeah, they said his sister was
I'm happy that he slipped because the thing is that Goldust should have been a Hall of Famer a long time ago. So I like the fact that he slipped because he probably just looked at it like, he's a Hall of Famer. Wait, no, not yet. You know what I mean? So definitely, if I don't know, I don't think it could happen contractually, but it would be nice to see Goldust be a part of this. If it were definitely possible, you know what I mean? I would definitely I think it would definitely help the story.
It's possible if Tony Khan let him do it, and if Dustin wanted to, but I don't think Dustin really wants to, and I don't think Tony Khan's inclined to let him.
Definitely not.
And I wouldn't. I wouldn't if I was him. Why? I mean, he believes that they are a challenger brand. You don't help the competition that's way ahead of you if you're a challenger brand. I mean, it'd be fun for wrestling, and all of that, but it really doesn't help WWE either, because they want other people to be elevated by helping Cody, or at least stay near the top. So yeah, it's fun to think about. But I like the fact they said that you're 20 years younger than your brother and sister because you were a mistake. And and that's below the belt, and that's fun. But I'm telling you, it all fits into that's Rock said, whatever I say, whatever I do, just follow my lead, just trust me. Trust me. If you do nothing else, you can trust me with this. And I think that's going to be the story. So that's why he went so low with that promo. I mean, got a great pop from the audience, but it's to convince Roman that he's really on the side, because Roman looks at The Rock sort of jealously. Sometimes he's a little bit delayed, then he finds his way to laugh, but like he knows he's not the alpha when The Rock is there. You can tell, and like the subtle acting is really, really good by them. I mean, some of it might be real for all I know, but I'm convinced that that's the story, and that's what WWE is. They're basically trying to do, episodic television. People like to say cinema, whatever. It's a continuing story, and parts of the story ends, but don't forget it's a continuing book. So there's going to be other chapters that follow. But that's what I'm seeing. And again, as many different fantasy booking alternate scenarios that I put out there, they're just that. This is exactly what it was always supposed to be. I think The Rock's edition, was a bit of a surprise, but maybe not even. But whatever it is, I think that if they were ever off track, they got themselves back on track really damn quick. And even the off track was pretty entertaining, because, I mean, The Rock still is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. But I honestly,
oh man,
when this show went off the air,
entrance he got solidifies that.
When SmackDown went off the air, like, there wasn't even time for the copyright and trademark assertion. It just sort of faded to a commercial for like a NASCAR race. It's like the show just ended and was straight into the local news. So obviously, either The Rock went long again, or there was poor timing management. Otherwise, that was a little bit awkward. But I mean, whatever.
Honestly, that that whole thing felt like the end of a show to hook you in to watch next week. That's what it
I'm
felt
all
like. That
for
whole
it.
thing felt like a hook. Now I could be wrong because
You
it was
are wrong.
clearly, it was live and,
And
it was a
I'll
live
tell you why
audience,
you're wrong.
but
I'm not usually going to say that someone is objectively wrong about something, especially you who technically here is my boss. But the reason why I know it's not so is because there wasn't time for the copyright and trademark assertion to go. If that was planned, they don't not put that copyright and trademark disclaimer at the end of every hour. They do that religiously. No, they just ran out of time. They just ran out of time.
So I'm curious to see what happened after the fact. If there was a smack back, if there was a thing, or if they just, because I usually when stuff like that happens, they are like when they can't continue the show, somebody records it, or WWE themselves will record it, and then they'll just upload on YouTube what happened after the fact. You know what I mean?
They definitely will. And they made a big deal that they surpassed 100 million subscriptions on the WWE YouTube network, which they pointed out. They got something called the Red Diamond Award, and that is more than the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball combined, which is something. By the way, Jeffrey's saying that we might get the Rock concert next week. Listen, as long as he comes in with an undersized guitar and pays homage to Mercedes Moné doing Yuki Sucks, he goes, Cody sucks, Cody sucks, Cody sucks, 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 sucks.
That's hilarious.
I'll mark out for that, but everyone else will hate it. I don't think we're getting the Rock singing. I think that this is not comedy rock. This is mean spirited rock. I don't think we're getting any musical numbers. Plus,
I love it. If this wasn't the plan, and I love the mean spirited Rock, I never thought I would see this again, because I always thought that the Rock was gonna always have to be the ultimate baby face, right? At all times, no matter when he showed up. So no, yeah, definitely. But what I'm saying is that like this Rock, this Attitude Era Rock, basically, like we never thought we would see it again. So I'm definitely here for it. Because the only way, it's kind of the same way like when John Cena showed up at WrestleMania 35. I thought that was amazing because he was basically just pandering to the East Coast crowd. But my point is just that I never thought we were ever going to see that character again, because John Cena is such a baby face, and like everything that he does requires him to be a baby face. So yeah. I love it. I think it's interesting. I hope it lasts for a little while, but it's probably just gonna last till Mania, and then at SummerSlam they'll have their thing, unless they go to Saudi Arabia with it, and they might just do that. Who knows?
Oh, well, actually, that's possible because the Saudi Arabia PLE is May 21st, so the timing's right, but it doesn't fit in with Roman taking a lot of time off. Anyway, but there's other things you could do in the interim. Anyway, first of all, Jeffrey Reimer says that the funniest concert was against Vicky Guerrero. That was a pretty good one. But as the kids in the IWC say, usually about things I don't agree with, we eating good. So we're eating good. We're getting our cake and we're eating it too. We're getting that Attitude Era Rock, but we're also going to get Babyface Rock right around 11:43 p.m. Saturday night. I believe that's April 5th.
All right, so then we're gonna pretty much have the rest of the month of heel rock, which I'm here for.
And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
Speaking of that, congratulations to frickin' Paul Heyman. Oh man, I cannot wait for this speech. It's somebody that is just well deserved. And this is somebody that is just synonymous with wrestling. So I cannot wait for Paul Heyman's speech. The shirt is amazing. Just everything about this is amazing. I was hoping for this because Mania is in Philly, and oh man, it brings back memories from the Elks Lodge. It brings back memories from ECW. Just seeing this guy on stage as a young guy and seeing him now, and yeah, as a fan, it's going to be a privilege to watch this Hall of Fame. And mind you, and everybody else so far that's getting into the Hall of Fame. Look, Bray Wyatt's dad, IRS, he's going into the Hall of Fame. And
again, with the U.S. Express, with Barry Windham.
Yeah, exactly.
And the U.S. Express, by the way, I don't mean to interrupt, and Bull Nakano, who was a legend, a real trailblazer, who, by the way, was a monster when she was a wrestler. Now she's like a really attractive middle-aged woman. Like, she's transformed her entire look. I can't believe it's the same person, and she looks great. But the U.S. Express, probably not a lot of people know about them or remember them. It was Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. And they weren't in WWE for that long. They had some success. But the important thing about them is that they were huge in the NWA in all of the territories. I mean, they were like Freebird, Von Erich, Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express level. They were sort of a little bit before the Road Warriors exploded and all that. They were huge in the NWA, and they were the first. Like, a lot of people went from territory to territory and would show up in WWF all the time. So, Jake the Snake Roberts going somewhere wasn't a big surprise. Randy Savage wasn't, because people went all over the place. Bruiser Brody famously would stay someplace 1 week, then go someplace else, break contracts, break deals, whatever. But the U.S. Express, they were NWA territory sweethearts. They were, they're young. They were like their Magnum TA hopes before Magnum TA became a thing. And when they left to go to the WWF, it was the first big defection from the NWA. It was really taking their future. It was the first crack in that dam that made it okay for NWA and other territory people to go sort of, but mostly NWA territory to go to the WWF at the time. And it made it okay, and it made it regular. AWA was already basically a feeding ground. You already had Hogan, obviously, but Ken Patera, Bruiser Brody would go back and forth. The list goes on and on. Jesse Ventura. But that was actually, at the time, it was a paradigm shift. It was a shock, and that might be the moment that gave Vince Jr. the idea that he could buy out Vince Sr. and take over wrestling. I'm not sure what would have happened without it. I know it doesn't seem like it's that important, but I think on a trail of breadcrumbs, it's actually one of the larger breadcrumbs on the path to Vince becoming Mr. McMahon.
That makes sense. Especially if he was watching back then.
Oh, yeah. He was watching. He was wearing the light yellow, cream colored, WWF jacket.
I missed that logo. The Golden Era logo.
I think it was with Lord Alfred Hayes on the commentary at the time.
It's interesting.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame. I'm looking forward to other Hall of Fame inductees. Everyone's hoping that maybe some carrot will be thrown out to people who have been, ignored in the past. Maybe Bam Bam, Bigelow, maybe Demolition. Who knows? There's always lots of names. Sid. I know there's people hoping.
Psycho Sid, yeah.
So there's. I mean, the thing about the Hall of Fame is there usually isn't more than 6, inductees. But Ray was, Ray was the recognition that a lot of wrestlers don't stay retired, and you can be inducted in the Hall of Fame and still being active, and that cleared the path for Paul Heyman to avoid sort of, but he's still active debate. That's gone. That's dead now.
Well, I mean, that's out the window. Trish Stratus as well, So you can do stuff, come back. The HOF definitely doesn't have the same stigma that it did in the past. Like if you were retired or whatever. Nah, it doesn't matter. You can still do stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just people recognizing your contributions to wrestling. And like I mentioned before, Goldust, definitely deserves to be in it. You know, I think I definitely think that promo was written just to give, to find a way to give Goldust a little bit of recognition.
No, that was just a dig at. That was just for the year and a half.
No, I mean no, because the thing is that the Rock and Goldust, that was one of his first feuds when so I'm sure that the Rock has a lot of respect for Goldust. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but he's not Goldust. His name is Dustin Runnels, and he's grumpy and mean, and he doesn't like WWE, and he's all AEW. So abandon, just take that idea and hold it on the side, and if you can't, flush it down the toilet, and you can recycle it later on down the road, because it's not happening. Now, Bray Wyatt might go in, though it will be weird to have his father and him go in, but who better to induct him than somebody who was inducted earlier? His father inducts him, so I don't know. I think that would be appropriate. I mean, there's always The Rock hasn't been inducted yet, but I think it's entirely appropriate. The man's dead, and his father is going to be there. Who better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it would be beautiful. I think that people might actually cry. I will, and I don't cry because I'm a bad motherfucker. Remember, I'm the small, prickly, angry bear. Remember?
Yeah, your evil dose.
That's right. Big bad kaiju. Supporting indie wrestling. O'Shea Edwards.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us. We just finished reviewing SmackDown. It was definitely an interesting show. I can't wait for Raw because honestly, I'm hyped about this whole situation, this whole stipulation of WrestleMania Night 1 and then going to WrestleMania Night 2. So we'll see what's going to happen. It's not that predictable. But join us as we continue through our journey. Join us for our Monday Night Raw show, our NXT show, our AEW show, and then right back here for SmackDown review. But in the meantime,
eventually we do collision shows too.
Yeah, that's true.
And don't forget the Lit Men on UFL debuting tomorrow.
Oh yeah, UFL. You guys are doing that show tomorrow, right?
We sure are. Tomorrow, 4:00.
Cool. All right. Well, there's a ton of stuff. We got a whole bunch of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and we're just growing every single day. So keep watching, and thanks. Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee, baby.